I'm on the set of Fumbling Through the Pieces with the one and only Hillary B. Smith, who's actually one of my dear friends. So this is really a treat for me. And look at what's happening with Fumbling Through the Pieces. I mean, and you're such an integral part of the show. And why
No, I am the show.
you are? She is the show. Why did you decide to do this role in the first place? What drew you to the script?
Well, it was a really interesting connection. Julie had a connection through our our little charity, Willie Copy Fund,
which I love.
And she and my friend Lindsay, who the two of us do this this fund, and she said, "Oh, I have this script. Could you see if Hillary wants to read it? Could I?" So I read it, and I just giggled through the whole thing. It was really fun. It was funny, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. And so I said, I got 3 hurdles. I got some big hurdles, though. First of all, I got to talk to Crystal Chappelle because I'm playing a psychic on Venice.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And second of all, I've got to talk to One Life to Live. I did it to ABC to see if that's okay. And then third of all, I got to talk to Frank Valentini to make sure that they can actually get me out for it. And the stars aligned. I've never had alignment of stars like that, but the stars aligned, and suddenly I was, available. Of course, then again, a week before the shoot, Frank said, "Oh no, you're not out for the." I was like, "Oh yes,
Yes, I am gone.
So anyway, and we did it last a year and a half ago now, and we had so much fun. It's a great cast. I mean, it's a beautiful cast. Robert Mafia and Tara Chuckle Joyce and Diane Delano, who I worked with years ago.
Do you know that I went to acting school with Diane Delano?
Did you?
I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts with Diane Delano. She doesn't even remember. I was in class with her.
Oh, how funny.
Isn't that funny?
Well, she's taken it to a new high. She calls it Big Sky Montana acting. And she is Big Sky Montana.
Acting.
Yeah, she's great.
And
She's
then
great.
Michelle Lee and Bobby Eakes.
Michelle Lee, Bobby Eakes, and Kelsey, who plays my sister Jessie, who's,
What was it like working with Michelle? She plays your mom.
She played my mom. We
And
worked
it's
together.
Michelle Lee and Hillary.
We worked together on
She told
Something
me.
Wilder.
She told me.
Yeah.
Which I didn't remember, but she told me.
She played Jean's first wife, and I was obviously the second wife. And we had this great scene where we got absolutely smashed together. I mean, just trashed together, just laughing. And I actually have this big picture that they mounted for me of her and I going, just laughing. I've got to somehow scan it and send it to her.
So how was it having her here?
Delightful, wonderful. It was just, she came to play, and Bobby came to play, and it was a really interesting dynamic to come into this little group that we had, and it just flushed out so nicely, and everyone just kind of, rose to the occasion, and it was really it's like having a transfusion, when new blood comes in, and it's exciting, and also it was, first day of shoot, and there we all were. Yeah, and it was really, really fun. There's some really wonderful, touching moments, and funny, and Michelle Lee, and Bobby Eakes is funny, and Michelle Lee is funny. And we just had a funny time.
But you were so good at comedy. You're so good at comedy.
Thing.
That's your thing.
That's my thing.
I mean, all along the way.
That's all I did was sitcoms.
Remember?
And all I wanted to do was do a soap opera in New York. That's all I wanted to do, and I kept getting sitcoms. And I was like, when am I going to get a soap opera in New York?
And once she said that, she was stuck in a courtroom doing legalese, which you liked.
60 to 80 pages of dialogue a night I used to have, 10-page monologues. And I loved it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loved it, except for the little antenna thing. Other than that.
That's a side story.
Sorry, that's a whole nother story.
What about this character would you say to the audience that's going to watch Fumbling Through the Pieces, your character this year? What are they going to look forward to from her? What can you give us? What can you say?
I would say that this year is truly a slice of life for Ellie. She's going through changes in her life, and she's having to accept things about her and accept things about her family and friends that she never knew that she would have to accept. I don't want to ruin it.
No.
But all I can say is there's some great funny moments, and you just learn a lot about the integrations of family and the dysfunction and how people cope on all different kinds of levels, and that no matter how together you think you are, you're always still going to be fumbling.
And that's really the theme, Fumbling Through
And
the Pieces.
that's really what it is. It's about how you make it through life, and you kind of drop things as you go along, and you pick them up, and you fumble, and you stutter, and it's, there's no manual to it. You just kind of do it as you can. So, that's what we're doing.
You've now had success in Venice and Fumbling
Yeah.
Through the Pieces, 2 web series.
Yes, which I'm grateful for.
Amazing success with them. You're
Yes.
the, what do you call it, the pop out? What's the role? The standout role sometimes. The role that everybody is drawn to. What do you think about the web, the territory?
It's where it's going. I think it's the beauty of the web is that you can express yourself on all different kinds of levels, and put it out there, so that artists now have an opportunity to create their own magic and put it out there, and no longer have to wait for the big boys to call you.
So standards and practices is not involved.
Oh, well, no, but there's always a nice little standard in practice. I mean, that's not the issue.
Right.
It's more of, in the old days, we'd have to sit around and wait for the phone to ring. And now it's not. We can create our own. We can create our own magic. We can create our own work. We can work with our friends. We can,
and be seen in other roles.
And be seen in other roles and do all of that. And it's like, hey, I'm doing this show. You want to come? Yes. And I think it brings back the passion for acting. I mean, for me, it's less of the business and it's more to the show. You know what I mean? In show business, it used to be show business. Then it got show business.
Then
and
it was
now,
just business.
Now the internet has sort of opened it up back to the artists and the creativity that it once was. And it's no longer about. I started getting resentful of the fact that it came down to the dollar, and that we lost the passion for the art, and it just became about the passion for the buck. And I think that this brings back the passion for the art.
So what are you hearing now from your fans? From when you're hanging out somewhere? You have some fans here today.
I do.
Some very wonderful fans from
wonderful.
One Night. Wonderful.
Jennifer, Nan, Judy.
Yes, who are the Rugula women
Oh,
okay.
Jennifer Levine, or goddamn Rugula, excuse me. But I swear to God, she fattens me up every time she comes near me.
That's the Rugula we talked about in the One Life to Live interview.
Yes.
She's here today.
Yes.
But I was talking about your fans who love you. What did they say about your role in Fumbling? What did they say about your role in what do they say to you?
The interesting thing that I found was, and this touches me very deeply, they didn't care where I was. They didn't care what show I was on. They just wanted me someplace so that they could come visit me. And that was really sweet. And that's really very touching, because I've been so blessed. I was a soap fan myself, and I knew how passionate I was about my stories.
What was your story?
I watched them all, but
She's really a mini me.
I did. I watched them all. I mean, I remember when I was 16 years old, and I ran into David O'Brien at a bar well, I was older than 16. I must have been 18 years old. I was 18 years old. Drinking age was 18. Anyway, a bar in Palm Beach, Florida. He was down there doing a show. And I went up to him, because, Steve on the Doctors, exactly. And I went up to him and I went, I so love you on the Doctors, and I just want to know how do I do this? How do I do this? And he goes, get an agent. And I said, okay, I swear I'll be there. He goes, okay, I bet you will. And my first soap opera, this is after doing sitcoms and movies and plays, my first soap opera was The Doctors, and I arrived on my first day of set, and I walked up to him and I said, I don't know whether you'll remember me, but I guess, oh yeah, I do, and I knew I'd see you again. Isn't that sweet?
That was so sweet.
Sweet David O'Brien.
So did you ever look at now the success you've had in this genre and what you've done, and do you feel a sense of accomplishment? Do you feel for yourself like here you
humbled.
are, you're still kicking, you're still doing new roles, you're still doing stuff. She's on B&B now. I mean,
I was supposed to retire.
we were thinking after One Life, we were like, what?
Yeah, I was.
There
I
was
was
that,
like,
there was that
what?
what now? And I remember looking at you going, what are we all going to,
Yeah, what are we all
what are
going
we
to
all
do?
going to do?
And I was so thrilled when the Bells called and said, will you come play with us? Because, I would have been sad had I never been able to work for Brad Bell. because you hear such wonderful things about him.
He's great.
And also Kay Alden, who is writing, and Patrick Mulcahy, who I just think is the most delicious writer. So to get the opportunity to go there, I say their words, and Kay came up to me. She said, "I'm so glad you're with us now." It was so sweet. I just really felt like, okay, I really feel like now I've done, I've really done daytime and done it well, and that made me feel really, really good.
Now, you're going back and forth from New York
Yes.
to LA, so you're still keeping yourself in New York?
Yes, I'm still in New York. My family's in New York. I've always been that. I've always made them. Anytime I got a job, they had to fly me out and put me up. I just always wanted to be known as a New York actress, not for any other reason than my family was there, and also theater. There was never any theater out here. That's changing, but and as I said, I'm humbled and pleased. I wanted. So funny, because when they sit there and they go, "Well, what did you want?" I never wanted to be a star. I'm very private, and I did not ever want to be a star. I didn't want to have that kind of life. I wanted to be Eileen Brennan, who got all these great roles, but flew under the paparazzi. That's who I wanted to be. So I feel like,
Are you Eileen Brennan in your own way, you think?
in my own way, I think
Yeah.
I've gotten to be Eileen
That's
Brennan.
really cool.
Yeah, and that makes me kind of go, alrighty then.
So, couple last questions. For the One Life to Live fans, have you talked to Woodsy?
I do.
Does
I
Woodsy
talk to-
know that you're doing Fumbling Through the Pieces? And
No,
this
he
and
doesn't.
that?
He doesn't.
Do you think we can get Woodsy
he
to
knows,
do
he
a
goes,
web
"Oh,
show?
yeah, your series. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. And I called him, and he called me one day. He was like, "Hey, Hill," and I'm walking down Pismo Beach with Crystal Chappelle and my husband, and the wind's blowing, and I was like, "Who is this?" He goes, "It's Woods." I was like, "Oh my God, Woodsy, what you doing?" He goes, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in LA." He goes, "Well, what you doing out there? Are you doing General Hospital?" I said, "No, I'm doing Bold and the Beautiful." He went, "That's so cool."
Aw.
He's great. He has a rubber chicken that he got, and
that's
that we were
when
going to go and take it to Whoopi, because she wouldn't give me my rubber
Well,
chicken back.
That
She was-
happened on The View, didn't
on The
it?
View, she got a hold of that rubber chicken. She wasn't going to let it go. So we had to promise her that we would bring her. She goes, "Only if you bring it to me while we're having lunch." I was like, "Okay." So we're trying to get a time when we're all in New York together and do it. Because
Did you
Woods,
know-
he's up. He's like, I'm checking the fence posts, and
You have to get him
tinkering
back to
around
do
the house.
something.
Oh, he's such a talent.
He's so good.
He's
he's
just
so
got a
good.
naughty twinkle in his
Naughty
eye, just
twinkle.
pretty much all the time.
So what would you say in closing that people should look forward to season 2, Fumbling Through the Pieces? What, in a broad stroke? Are we gonna need our hankies? Are we gonna laugh? Are we gonna cry? Are we gonna be like rolling on the floor laughing? Will we applaud from our computers?
Yes, all of the
All of
above.
the above.
As I said, you laugh, you cry. It's better than cats.
And there you go. Thank you, Hillary.
I love you.
Love you
Michael.
too.